Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. I've been absent for a week, and believe it or not, a few people missed me and asked me what was going on. No videos. So thank you, anybody that cares. And even if you don't, thanks anyway. My family and I went on our annual trip to Florida. My in-laws started doing timeshares down there about 10 years ago. And we started joining them around 2015. They've stayed on the East Coast of Florida. They've stayed on the West Coast. And now they've kind of split the difference in the Orlando, Kissimmee area. So we go down and they can usually, get an adjoining suite next to theirs. So we have our own place, but it's definitely a inexpensive way to have a vacation, if you can call it inexpensive these days. And, they drive us around, we do different stuff. So, always interesting and fun. My son is 10 going on 11. And we finally decided to bite the bullet and take him to Disney. So we spent 2 days, $1,500, and basically did nothing but stand in line amongst way too many people. Now, we really haven't left. We didn't go to Florida last year because of COVID. We hardly left the house in 2 years. We were lucky enough to work at home. My wife works at home. So it was definitely a jump out of the bubble, to get on that plane full of 320 people and, spend a week, trying to be as safe as possible. This isn't about COVID, but it has to be on your mind. I think we escaped it, but I'll let you know in 5 to 10 days if I develop any symptoms. I got my fingers crossed. That's all you can do. So anyway, if you want to watch some of the pictures from Florida, and we did some other cool stuff, it'll be at the end. If not, hey, I understand. But it might be interesting. But my point I made is, see, $1,500 for 2 days of getting pushed around, running over by baby strollers, and getting a face full of bubbles. They sell these battery-powered bubble makers, and every kid's got one. And you're in a sea of bubbles the whole time, getting run over by baby strollers, and then a parade breaks out. That's pretty much Disney. I just saved you $1,500. It's supposed to be a magical place. It wasn't for us. We were there on a Monday and a Tuesday last week, so I'm sure it gets busier. The bargain, and I try to allude to it, if you do watch the footage at the end of the show, at the end of this video, there's so much background noise everywhere you go. I was almost shouting and you can hardly hear my voice, so I'll repeat myself. 6 miles from Disney World is Old Town Kissimmee, and next door is Fun Spot, an amusement park. We've taken my son there. This will be the 3rd time. All-day pass is $60, $63, I think it was. He literally can get off a ride and right back on. No lines, no waiting. He's pretty much there by himself. He did find a little friend to hang around with and play with. He rode this giant roller coaster for over an hour. Just get off and back on, off and back on. He finally drove a go-kart. He was tall enough to drive by himself. It was fun to watch because he's so cautious. Every other time I've tried to teach him to drive something, it's hammer down like the lawnmower. It was the first time showing that he's growing up a little bit and could probably handle that. It's just awesome. You know what I'm talking about. So we did that. We did a whole bunch of other stuff. It's relaxing. The resort we stayed at was the best one we've ever visited my in-laws in. We've stayed in some dumps. Well, old stuff. This is Silver Lake. It had, I counted 6 pools. They advertised 4. They're all heated, but the giant pool they're all saltwater pools, heated. It's like, almost a hot tub, but big enough that it's not gross like a hot tub. So I was in that every night, and I don't have an acre of pain right now, so I guess I have to wish I had a pool. But up here in Maine, you might not get a lot of use out of it. And I will say, the flying was a horror show. We had nonstop flights, so because the plane was an hour and a half late the first time, an hour late the second time, it really wasn't a big deal because at least we didn't lose connecting flights. But anyway, enough about that. Before I left, I was able to intercept most of the packages I had coming. I've got 3/4 of my Cyber Monday order from BTE. I got my 180 gear set for the second Power Glide I'm going to build. The rear bearing support to replace the stock one. People ask where I get Turbo 400 parts or transmission parts in general. My answer is everywhere I can, especially nowadays. It's difficult. There is one guy who sells on Facebook. I've never approached him directly, which might be more efficient, but it's Free Lock Performance. I believe he's in South Dakota, but he has a seller's page on eBay. Like, for instance, these are spiral locks, one for the intermediate sprag, one for the intermediate clutch. This is a different design than I've seen before. It's potentially a little thinner. I haven't measured it, but it looks different than the other ones I've had. I'm anxious to try it. I don't trust the spiral lock without the aluminum case saver, the big half moon one, because these tend to, when you put air to it, it tends to move like that. So, but I've never had one pop out, but I only run these with the case saver, the big aluminum one. So, in a street transmission, I'm sure it'd be fine. In a street transmission, you really don't even need this, but whatever. Shopping around on closeouts, everywhere you look in the bargain bin, I found a 34 element sprag delivered to me for $20. It looks like a nice one. Trying to determine whose it is, but whatever. That's a good deal because usually they're, 50 to 100. So 20 bucks, can't beat it. My buddy Ken sent me a link to another B&M pan. This is the third one. I sold one, I think, but I love the B&M pan. This particular one came with the pan and the gasket. B&M doesn't give you a pickup tube for the filter. They give you an extension for the stock short one. And that's just too many O-rings for me. I would not have used it anyway. But they do give you a magnetic drain plug, which is missing. So I was just going through my 1/2-inch fine thread bolts to make sure that's what the thread was. And I found a bolt, and I have nylon washers. But I was thinking I needed to make something fancier, maybe shorten the bolt. And then I opened the BTE package that showed up minutes before I left for Florida. And it's pretty much the same version of the 4013 pan that everybody else sells. The FTI one I showed you, this was just empty. This one, they had their logo put in it. It has a few other differences inside, but the funny part is it also has a half fine thread drain plug. I'm trying to make not too much noise here, but the bolt and washer they give you is pretty much the same thing I dug out. So whatever. Sometimes in my brain I have to make things too fancy, but they do give you the filter extension, the filter tube. It's not the factory one that has the outriggers on it, but it'll work. And they give you this style gasket. It's actually a little heavier than normal, so I'm pretty happy with the BTE stuff. I know now, I mean, they did their best to fill the order. They sold a lot of stuff. In the world today, it's hard to get parts, so I understand, but you know the stuff's imported. It says it's made in Missouri, I believe, but they had to wait for the bell house. I ordered 2 pans, 3 pans, 2 bell housings, a bunch of gaskets and miscellaneous stuff, 1 Turbo 400 dipstick. Everything was 20% off on Cyber Monday, so this is very similar to the 66182 Proform that I've been using. It will fit the flex plate shield if you're running the stock bell housing. And in LS, you've seen me 1,000 times. I put a nut cert in the empty hole and bolt that on. Anyway, the bell housings, I was hoping wouldn't show up while I was gone, but I did get shipping confirmation on a Saturday or a Sunday. I got one Saturday, one Sunday for the Power Glide bell housing and the 400 bell housing, and they're on their way UPS. So I'll have those by the end of the week. So my order will finally be complete in February from stuff I ordered in November, but that is the world we live in. That's why I buy transmission parts anywhere I can find them. So I always have enough to build 4 or 5 transmissions anyway. I'm not a huge transmission manufacturer, so that'll get me by, and I'm always shopping, looking for more. Sorry about the miscue at the end. I just talked so long that my Bluetooth shut off. We've covered this before. I'll say it one more time. I love the B&M pan because my first Turbo 400 had one on it. It's the biggest, beefiest looking pan with the deepest ribs. Has a spot for a temp sender. It's awesome. However, it's so fat with these scallops where this is flat. Not many brackets fit it. Like if you have a transmission shield, you got to modify those brackets. Your shifter bracket, you're going to have to modify. Unlike these, you got to do minor modifications to whatever bracket they give you. In this situation, you're probably going to have to build your own. But it's still an awesome pan. So I got 3 of these in the shed now. Anytime I find it's a $200 pan, if I can find it for sale for $100, I'm going to buy it. So you just got to shop around. Stuff is out there. So fair warning, the Florida clips, I'm talking as loud as possible. You may have trouble hearing me, and I can guarantee you I'm not going to say anything that I didn't already say in the last 10 minutes. That brings you up to speed. I'll actually make a real video doing something after I finish resting up today. I just wanted to say hi and let you know where I've been, and I'll be back in a couple days. Thanks for watching.
Eventually.
Florida deer. Hey, Sean here, Mountains Garage. I'm about a week and a few days too late to see all the cars from Sick Week here at Old Town, Kissimmee, Florida. Cars are lining up today for a car show tonight, but I wish I was here a week ago Monday night to see all the cars from that awesome event. Stop here on their checkpoint on the way to Orlando, which didn't happen the next day due to rain. So I've been walking around looking for oil spots on the ground. There are a lot of photos taken from this perspective. On a side note, if you want to save money, which I didn't take my own advice this year, my son was 10 years old and it was time to take him to Disney for real. 2 days, $1,500, an absolute awful experience, way overcrowded, 2-hour lines for everything. Right next door to Old Town, 6 miles down the road from Disney, is Fun Spot. And my kids rode everything multiple times. He gets off and gets right back on any ride, having the best time ever. And the price to get into Fun Spot for an all-day pass is 60 bucks. Remember the movie Roadhouse? This is the truck that crashed into the Ford dealership. It now sits here at Fun Spot. Instead of Bigfoot, it's now called Big Fun, which is kind of funny, but if you look underneath this thing, it's pretty scary. I believe it still has the factory Ford frame. They just welded a bunch of stuff on it. Put some military action on it. No question that's the factory Ford frame up above, and they added something else underneath. Just some channel. Gobbed on some brackets back in the 80s. This was a monster truck. The sign says it was also in the movie Tango and Cash. Years of baking in the Florida sun starting to have some consequences. But it looks cool from a distance. That shock might need a little bit of work. Grossly undersized for what they're asked to do. The car show at Old Town is just getting started. Interesting, in Florida, most of the hot rods, regardless of the year, have air conditioning. It makes sense because it's hotter than the hinges of hell down here.
That alligator's gonna get.
There's two of these old haulers on property. They just sit here, Ford Aeromax. I've been coming here for 5 years and I don't believe they've moved. Could be wrong. The other one's yellow. Pretty nice hauler. I wouldn't mind having it. No license plates on them. You can see it's been sinking into the ground here for a while. Damn. Same truck, only yellow. Same deal, no license plates. Been sitting here a long time. The Florida Citrus Tower. Roadside attraction. Sitting here on my veranda at the Silver Lake Resort, I've come to learn there's a lot of background noise in Florida. I'm not even sure the audio in some of these clips are even going to come through. But I was looking at this tree the other day. We had a cool start to the week. I figured I'd just go out there and cut it down because it was dead. Come to find out, that's the way that tree's supposed to look in the wintertime. Glad I didn't cause an incident. They say there's only 4 pools here. I've counted about 6 pools. They're all heated at different temperatures. I choose the warmest one most of the time. Yeah, I can see 2 in this picture right here.